One of the biggest problems with trying to start a band or put a band together is finding committed and dedicated members to be a part of that band. And if this is a problem you're familiar with, then this podcast episode is for you. We're going to be talking about finding the right bandmates, strategies for collaborating with committed musicians. And we're going to give strategies and tips for musicians to find the right bandmates and establish successful collaborations. So the first very crucial thing that you need to do when you're trying to put a band together and find committed, dedicated band members to be a part of that is to define your musical vision. Now, what do we mean by that? It basically means you need to put some goals in place and a vision in place for what you want that band to be and where you want it to go. Now, the reason that this is important is because in today's world, in today's society where people are extremely busy, they have a lot going on, they have a lot to do, you need to be offering something. You don't need to be just asking something. And that's essentially what happens when you're just going to people and say, hey, do you want to be a part of my band? Can I get you to be a part of my band? You're asking them for something. So with that ask, you need to be offering something. You need to be giving them a reason to be a part of the band. And a part of that reason, the biggest part of that reason is going to be the vision for that band, where you want that band to go, where you see it in 5-10 years. Do you want to be a recording band or, be in the studio? Do you just want to do some gigs here and there on the weekend? Do you want to travel? Those types of things need to be in place when you're seeking other members to be a part of it, again, so that they have something to sort of latch onto. So you see how that works? And then you want to explore the direction you want to take with your band. And this is kind of saying the same thing. So again, where do you want your band to go? This is part of the vision. I think what happens is a lot of us, we get overzealous about starting bands and putting bands together, and we're excited. We got some good songs and stuff we want to play, and we think, oh yeah, we can do this. But again, people are busy. People have stuff to do. I don't think people understand the sort of busyness of this world that we live in now, and the sort of effect that has had on people and what they're able to do. People are like just even being busy, right? And so much so that their mental capacities are taken up with a lot of stuff. And then there's a lot of other things that are pulling them in multiple directions and all of this kind of stuff. And you're showing up with, hey, I want to start a band and just do some gigs on the weekend. Can you come to a rehearsal kind of thing? That's just not going to cut it. So you have to explore the direction you want your band to take. And then you need to align your vision with the potential bandmates for harmonious collaboration, right? So what this means is that once you establish your vision, once you establish where you want your band to go, once you've identified your goals, you use that as a sort of template to guide you to finding the right band members, because this is going to help you eliminate, a lot of people, right? You're going to say, hey, I want my band to do this. I want my band to be this. That's going to eliminate, like, for example, if you want a touring band, you need to find some people that are going to be willing to travel. So if you come across somebody that says, hey, I'm not interested in travel, you can X them out immediately. So this speeds up the process, right? It speeds up the process with you getting people in. This is like inviting someone into your home for dinner, for a meal, for drinks or whatever, and you don't even have the table set. You haven't cooked anything. That's essentially what happens a lot of times, and in most cases when people are trying to start bands, when musicians are starting to find band members or trying to find band members to be a part of something they're putting together. You're inviting me here. It's like, but dude, you don't even have anything going on. I'm showing up in your house and nothing is happening. This vision, these goals, these defining where you want your band to go and where you want it to be is that table. It's setting up that table so when people come in, you can say, hey, this is what this looks like. This is what I'm offering. This is the type of food, if we're going with a table analogy in a house or a restaurant. This is what I'm offering on this table, right? And it's plain and clear. It's really plain and clear. And this is the importance of doing this. So again, define these goals, put something in place before you start looking for people, and, have some ideas. They don't have to be concrete. You don't have to have this, 10, 15 year plan in concrete and that you're going to follow to the letter. It's not like that. It's just that you want to have some sort of plan in place so that you can have an offer for people that are coming in. And then the next thing you want to do is put some focus on networking and building the connections with the people that you want to get into your band. So this is how this works. Once you have this vision, once you have these goals in place that we just talked about, you set that table and you send out the invitations. That's essentially what this section is talking about. It's talking about the ways that you can start networking and inviting people into your home, to sit at your table, right? Into your band, right? We're going to keep using that analogy for food, like inviting someone into your house to eat. But this is essentially the invitation part of it. So what you want to do is start attending local music events and open mic nights at places that that have musicians there, or any sort of places like that in your area where that musicians hang out or bands play, or any of those types of things where you can kind of put yourself in the mix to be able to essentially hand out invitations, right? You know what I'm saying there? You're handing out invitations, so you want to go to where the people are that you want to get. You want to go get those people and hand them an invitation to come in, right? So it's, in most cases, it's those open mics, it's the local events, the live events and stuff there in the city. As I'm making this episode of this podcast, Beyonce is on tour, and she just actually today, so yesterday and today, she's performing here in my city, and then the whole city is just like lit up. So although of course you're going to have the Beehive fans there at that concert, you're going to have a lot of musical people there too, a lot of people who sing, a lot of people who play instruments and stuff like that. So even concerts is something that you may want to consider, going to find these people that you're looking for, and be ready to talk to them and be ready to invite them again to your table. You want to meet them. You want to have some sort of camaraderie with them, and meet them in person to be able to say, hey, this seems like a person that I would want in my band. This seems like a person that would be a great guitar player, a great drummer, a great lead singer. So it's just about that initial invitation. But this is what this section is about. It's about starting that initial conversation and putting that invitation together and actually inviting people into your band, into your table, right? So effective networking strategies in the music community, right? This is what we're talking about, effective networking strategies. These are effective networking strategies where you do stuff like that. Now, also, another way that you can do this is through social media. Now, I would recommend that social media be secondary to this way, because I found that it's always best, again, to meet people in person, to try to understand them, look them in the eye, shake their hand. You can kind of get a sense of what they're about, versus on social media, you may see some videos and stuff that they put out, and they may be great and all, but that person's personality just may not vibe with what you're trying to do. And again, remember, we talked about the goals and the vision being the thing that sort of sets the groundwork for that. So if part of your vision is to, have a band with, friends and everybody that's getting along, and then you come across someone who has a personality that just doesn't match with yours, then we're going to have some problems. So you see how that works? So again, the thing to get in this section is that you are putting that invitation out there. You're putting yourself out there as well and letting people see you, because, on the other hand, they may not even want to collaborate with you for whatever reason. They may feel your personality doesn't match with them, and that's okay. But the way to do this is get in front of people and shake their hands again and look them in the eye and offer them that invitation. Just let people know, hey, I'm putting a band together. I think you seem like an interesting person. You may seem like you'll be a good fit for my band. Let me give you my number, or can you give me your number? And, we can talk more about it. And then once you talk to them, that's when you explain to them the vision and what you're offering and what you're trying to do. So you see how all of this is connected. But that is the importance of this section. It's the importance of networking and collaborating. Are you a musician, artist, or band looking to make some serious passive income and build a huge fan base? Then you should absolutely start a YouTube channel today. And that's because right now, YouTube is the biggest opportunity for bands and musicians to make money and build a huge following around their craft. And this is the reason that the premier YouTube QuickStart course for musicians was created. This course is designed to get you up and running on YouTube very quickly and easily. And the best part is it's completely free, and you can get instant access to it at the link in the description of this video. Now, the next thing you want to do in this process of finding committed and dedicated band members is to start evaluating commitment and compatibility. So the way this works is once you've set the table and you've put your vision and your goals in place and you know what you want your band to be and where you want it to go. And once you've put out the invitations, once you've invited people to your table, once you've let them know this is what you're trying to do and all of that, you want to start inviting them in. And once you get them in, you want to evaluate them, for their commitment level and their compatibility, because, meeting them in person, briefly or something and shaking hands with people is great, but that's not necessarily going to tell you whether or not you're, fully compatible with them or whether or not they'll be a great fit. They could be just having a bad day, but they could still be a great fit for your band, or vice versa. They could be a great musician and having a good day or whatever, and they just may not mesh with your band. So it's important to be able to sort of sit down with them at the table, so to speak, as we're going to keep talking about. Sit down with them at the table, have a conversation with them, so to speak, and then evaluate them on these things. And some of the ways that you do that is you conduct auditions and jam sessions. So you could have something like an official audition process for your band. And this is something that a lot of people overlook. It's something that makes what you do be a little bit more official sounding, right? You've auditioned to be a part of something, not just, hey, I've invited somebody in. You sound just like everybody else that's like wanting to put a band together. Hey, man, I'm putting a band together. Why don't you come over and jam with me kind of thing, right? That can sound like everybody else that's trying to do it. But if you have a particular audition process and you say, hey, man, I'm really interested in you, or hey, whomever, I'm really interested in you being a part of the band. I have an audition. Why don't you come do this jam session, sort of a jam session / audition where you just jam and we'll see how we mesh with each other and all of that kind of stuff. It's something just that simple. It doesn't have to be like this America's Got Talent or American Idol kind of thing, or Britain's Got Talent, whatever. It doesn't have to be kind of that process or that sort of strenuous. It just needs to be something that gives you the ability to sit down with them, jam with them, see what that musical compatibility is, see what that personality compatibility is and all of that. So you see what you're doing in this process. Again, you're evaluating them for their commitment and compatibility. And you want to look for that musical and personal compatibility that I'm talking about, right? You want to look for those things. You want to look for while you're talking, while you're in there eating together, I'm saying eating together, so we're going to keep that analogy in mind, but eating together and you're performing together and you're playing together and you're jamming together. Pay attention to that kind of stuff. See what the musical cues are like, and if they're responding to what you're doing. If you play something, see if they respond to it, or if you sing something, or vice versa. If they're the singer, if you play something, see if they know how to follow and all of that kind of stuff. That's important musical compatibility that you may want as a part of your band. And again, that's the musical part of it, but the personal part of it, the personality part of it is something too. Are they like shy, and none of these are good or bad that I'm about to say. I'm just, naming something. Are they shy and reserved? Are they, more quiet or that kind of stuff? Or are they more extroverted and outgoing and, bubbly and that kind of stuff? And then out of those things, out of those characteristics about that person, which of those things is going to mesh best with your vision, your goals, where you want your band to go that you've already established, right? So you see how all of these steps are interconnected. Like each one is going to build off the next. So this is what you're doing in this evaluation process. And again, the thing about it is you assess the skills and the musical commitment, right? Right. So you evaluate them for what they can do. Can they play? Can they sing? That's going to be important, right? I mean, I'm sure they'll probably have some level of talent and they can probably get the job done if they're there. But, we've run into some situations where it's been people like, hey, like, why did you even show up here? Like, you can't even, like, you just picked up an instrument last night. And while that's fine for some people, that may be for a beginner's band. So that person may be better fit for a beginner's band. And if that's you, that's perfectly fine. But if it's not, you may need to go with somebody else. But what you're doing again in this process is evaluating and assessing that so that you can make that determination. So again, this is an important step. So don't skip this step when you're trying to find dedicated and committed band members. Now, next, once you have set your goals and your vision and you've put the invitation together and you've networked and you've invited them in and you've evaluated them, the next thing you want to do is establish clear roles and responsibilities for the person or the people that you are bringing into your band. This is something that is like so crucially important. I can't even stress the importance of it. This is kind of one of these things that happens during the last step that we talked about, where you're assessing them and you're evaluating them. Part of doing that is it goes hand in hand what we're going to talk about here with establishing those roles. So while you're evaluating them for these potential roles that you have in your mind that you may want to put them in, right? This is a specific part of that evaluation. So for example, you may need a musical director. So you may hire a keyboard player or something like that you also want to be a musical director. So not only does that person need to be a great keyboardist, or at least a good keyboardist that fits your goals and whatever it is that you want to do for your band, but they need to have some good leadership skills as well. So this is what we mean by these roles, and you're evaluating them for that process. So you're having these roles in your mind during that evaluation process as well. But especially once you get the people in there, you say these people agree to be a part of the band. They say, yes, I'm going to be here. Now you got your band in the room. The very first thing that you have to establish off top is the roles that you want everyone to play. Establish what you want everybody to do so that everyone is clear. Like nobody is, this is not this thing where we're just going to be getting together and hanging out. Like there's some clear definition of what's going to happen here. Now, I want to stop here or pause here and just be clear about what I'm saying, because it may sound like what I'm saying is that you have to establish this hierarchy and it has to be this strenuous work type, corporate type situation where there's a boss and then there's employees. And I'm not saying anything close to that. What I am saying is that it has to be more than just the casual, hey, let's get together every now and then and jam kind of thing. It has to be a little bit more than that if you want dedicated and committed band members. So keep that in mind with everything that we're talking about here. This is not a process where we're going to create like this, again, this corporate structure. It's not like that. It's just something to put in place where you have some goals and dreams in place. And it's not only for the people that you're bringing in, it's for you as well. So you have some direction where where you want your band to go. So you're not just out there, willy-nilly all the time. So you can say in 5 years, this is what I want the band to be. This is what I want it to look like. This is what I want us to have accomplished. So again, you're defining roles and responsibilities. So you want to assign roles like songwriting and booking and promotion. And again, like a musical director or something like that, if that's something that you want for your band. And again, this is part of giving people responsibilities as well. And it's giving them something to do. So again, you're inviting them into your house, into your table, and you're giving them something to do so that they can feel like, hey, I belong here, giving them a sense of purpose and ownership. That is really what this is about. So you want to manage these roles within your projects and your band. So if you have albums that you want to record, you got a big gig that you want to plan for that you're trying to do in the future, this is the type of thing that you're going to be establishing off top. What you want each specific person in the band to be responsible for, their responsibilities along with their direct role, and description of what that role is as clear as possible, not just like something casual like, oh, you're just the bass player and that's the end of it. Have some clear set responsibilities in place to give them. Again, I'm gonna keep stressing it, it's not like a hard strenuous thing like I'm going to give you responsibilities like you're a child. It's not that kind of thing. I promise you it's not. This is something that is going to establish with them the seriousness of what you're trying to do, so that they understand when they come in, it's going to be more likely that they'll come in and be committed to something that's serious, rather than something that's just, oh, we're just jamming on the weekends. Like, I can't stress this step enough. This may be the most important step in this whole system that we're talking about, getting dedicated band members. So again, it's important to establish clear roles and responsibilities for everyone in the band. Now, once we've gone through this process and you've got your band members and you've got all of their roles established and all of that, one of the things that you want to do is to nurture that and keep that going. And the way that you do that is you focus on communicating effectively and fostering team spirit. So the thing here is that it's not necessarily enough to do everything on the front end. And then once you have everything front loaded, you've gone through this process, you got the people there, and then everything just kind of, pauses. You don't have to do anything else. The thing about having a band and, keeping a band together and keeping everybody committed and dedicated is that you foster this and you sort of water this plant, so to speak. You water the plant and you give it sunlight so that it continues to grow. That is what this step is about. So, and the best way to do that is effective communication. You want to be as forthcoming and as honest and straightforward with your band members as possible. So none of that sort of mess comes in, right? No misunderstandings, no, he said, she said kind of stuff. Like, you want to keep nurturing a team spirit where everybody is there together and everybody is on the same page and we're working together for this goal. You don't want to have people in your band feeling like, oh, this person doesn't like me, or this person thinks this about me, so I don't know if I want to work with them. And then you got 2 or 3, 4 band members with different types of stuff going on in between them. That's one of the quickest ways for a band to break up, and you lose everything. Just go back to any of the bands in the past and you'll see that that's how they kind of broke up. So instead of having that, you want to, through effective communication, you want to foster this spirit of teamwork with you in your band. So you want to resolve conflicts and build strong team spirit. So just as I said, if you have conflicts in your band, if you have stuff come up, and when I say conflicts, it's not necessarily just like a fight or somebody's about to pull somebody's throat out or something like that. It's just that, some misunderstanding. You want to be able to nip those things in the bud. You want to be able to communicate effectively and say, hey, I'm sorry, or if it was my fault, I apologize. This is what it was supposed to be. This is how it should have happened. We'll make sure it happens this way again. We'll, put stuff in place so this kind of thing doesn't happen again. Whatever the mistake was or whatever the misunderstanding was, you correct it with effective communication. Not this stuff that a lot of people do, this between people stuff. Well, he shouldn't have said that to me. She shouldn't have did this, and I wouldn't have said that to her. Like, that's kid stuff. Like, we're not in high school anymore. That's kid stuff. You want to operate like professional people, like real human beings, and be able to resolve conflicts effectively. And you do that through effective communication. So you want to nurture that open communication and collaboration. So not only is it important for you to collaborate openly and effectively, you want to, put out that you want everyone else to do the same. If they have a problem, they want to come to you, and, you need to have open ears for that, and they need to know and feel that, right? So you tell them, hey man, if you guys ever have any issues with anything I do or say, or anything that's going on with the band or anything like that, feel free to come to me and talk to me about it. I'll always listen to you. I'm gonna be an open person. We can talk about it. We may not agree at the end of it, but I'm always gonna, be able to talk to you about it, and we can talk and have a conversation about it. It's that kind of stuff again, that is going to keep your band together. Just think about that in relationships. That is the kind of thing that keeps relationships together. That effective communication where a partner can come to their other partner and say, hey, I really felt like you hurt my feelings with this. And then that person respond, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't even realize it. I think you probably misunderstood it, but just to bury the hatchet, I apologize. I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. That keeps relationships together, right? Same thing with your band members. When you foster that open communication, it's going to solve so many problems that you may incur or would otherwise incur in the future with your band. So you want to have that transparent communication. When there's an issue, you want to not only have open ears and have them be able to come to you, but you want to set that expectation with them as well and say that, hey, I want to know with each of you if, a problem that I have arises with you or with something that's going on that's related to you, that I can come to you openly and talk about it. Is that okay? And if so, you can even take it further. If it's okay, how do you want me to communicate with you? What's the best way to bring a problem to you if there is something, that is a problem or that is a problem that comes up, right? And even the same thing with praise. You don't just go to people with problems all the time. You have an open line of communication with, hey man, you killed it on that solo, or you killed it on that song last week at rehearsal or at this gig. You want to have that communication as well. But this open, transparent communication is what fosters that team spirit, and it's what's going to keep your band together, because everybody feels like they own it and that they belong there and they can be heard and they can be seen. And it's not about one person over the other and no one's more important than the other person like that, right? This is the kind of team spirit that you want to be fostering in your band. And when you have these things in place, when you have the goals in place, where you want your band to be, where you've collaborated and you've communicated and you've set roles and expectations for people to do, and everybody has a clear understanding of where they should be and what they should do and what you want from them and what they want from you. When you have all of these things in place, you will put together a band that will be more likely to stay together for decades and decades, and you'll be more likely to achieve more because you don't have to switch out band members every time some conflict or something comes up and then everybody gets mad and then someone quits or you have to fire them and all of that kind of stuff. You're going to eliminate so many problems with this process. So again, when you're putting your band together, go through this process as rigorously as possible. Put some time into thinking about what you want your goals to be for your band and all of that, and the type of people that you want in your band. And you'll be on your way to having a successful band. Now, one last thing I will say that's important, because again, we're in such a busy world that we're in now. Not only do you need to be having something at the table set, I'll also say that one of the things that you need to have at that table in the step 2 that we talked about is money. Yeah, you probably need to have some sort of money in place. When you're inviting people, especially like me, I live in one of the biggest cities in the United States. And if I'm inviting someone to a jam session or a rehearsal because I want to audition them, they probably have to drive 30, 40, 50 miles minimum, fight through traffic, probably an hour, sometimes an hour and a half to get to whatever location. Might be wise to kind of throw in, hey, I'll give you some gas money. I'll give you $20 for gas money or something like that. That's again a little outside of the scope, but I just wanted to throw that out there in step 2, that may be something that is valuable to have at the table. But anyway, go through this process and you will be on your way to having a successful band. And I wish you all of the best with your band endeavors.